Alex had always thought his apartment was ordinary. A small, neat place on the 42nd floor of the Silver Line Tower, with smart lights, an AI assistant named Juno, and the usual human gadgets, nothing special. Yet today, as he stepped into the shower after a long day at the Interstellar Research Lab, he was about to learn how ordinary his life really was. The warm water ran down his back, steam filling the small bathroom. Alex closed his eyes, letting his thoughts drift. Work had been long and he needed a break. For a few minutes, all he wanted was silence, warmth, and the comfort of his routine. But then, in the middle of his peaceful shower, a strange shimmer appeared in front of him, a ripple in the air, like a reflection on a pond. Before Alex could blink, a figure appeared inside his bathroom. It was a girl. Not an ordinary girl, though. Her skin had a faint silver glow and her hair shimmered with a faint blue hue, like sunlight dancing on water. Her eyes were large and bright, almost glowing, and she wore a form-fitting suit that looked like it was made of light itself. Alex froze. His brain tried to process the impossible. She teleported into my bathroom. "Hi," the girl said casually, smirking. "Don't worry. I'm not here to hurt you." Alex's mind raced. You what?" he stammered. Who are you?" The girl tilted her head, examining him as if she were studying an interesting experiment. "I'm Lyra, and well, I think I arrived at the wrong place." Alex, still clutching the shower handle, tried to back up, slipping slightly on the wet floor. "Wrong place. You teleported here. My shower, Lyra held up her hands. "I know, I am very sorry about that. It's just that I miscalculated the coordinates." Teleportation is tricky even for me. Alex's mind whirled. Teleportation. Miscalculated coordinates. He blinked, trying to steady himself. Teleportation. Coordinates. You're an alien. Lyra's smirk widened. "Not exactly an alien, at least not in the way you mean it. I'm from another world studying emerging civilizations. You humans are fascinating." Alex swallowed hard. "Fascinating? Really? You picked the shower," Lyra chuckled lightly. "It was an accident. I assure you I meant no harm. I'm just curious." For a moment, Alex wanted to scream, call security, or do something, anything. But then he noticed her calm, almost playful demeanor. She wasn't aggressive. She wasn't dangerous, at least not intentionally. "Okay," he said cautiously, stepping out of the shower. He wrapped a towel around his waist, his mind still racing. "Curious. Right. Can you at least explain why you're here, and how you got in without, breaking reality?" Lyra floated slightly above the floor, her feet not quite touching the tiles. "It's a long story," she said, her voice soft but confident. "I was testing a new teleportation technique and something went wrong. I didn't mean to land here." Alex ran a hand through his wet hair. "You realize this is my private space?" "I do," Lyra replied, looking genuinely apologetic. "And I promise I won't interfere. I'm more interested in your technology than anything else." Alex blinked. "My technology?" "Yes," Lyra said, her eyes scanning the bathroom. "Your planet has clever devices. Even your basic plumbing system is interesting. Simple, efficient, and practical. Humans are ingenious." Alex froze, then laughed nervously. "Well, thanks, I guess. So you just teleport into people's showers to study us?" Lyra tilted her head, considering. "Not usually. Only when accidents happen. And you, Alex, seem adaptable. That's why I think observing you is valuable." Alex swallowed. "Adaptable? I'm just trying to take a shower." Lyra's smirk grew. "All humans are adaptable. You survive, create, and solve problems in ways other species cannot. That's why I study you. You are impressive." Alex's pulse raced. "Impressive? She teleported into my shower and calls me impressive." He sighed, letting the towel drop from his shoulders. Well, almost dropped, just to keep a bit of dignity, and ran a hand down his face. "All right, Lyra. If you're really not here to hurt me, then I guess we can talk." Lyra nodded. "Perfect. May I sit?" Alex blinked. "Sit." "On what?" she gestured, and a small holographic platform appeared in the air. Lyra gracefully sat, cross-legged, floating a few inches above the wet tiles. "Okay," Alex said, leaning against the wall. "This is really weird, but if we're doing this, you need to answer questions." "All questions," Lyra nodded. "Fair enough." Alex took a deep breath. "First, how do you even survive in a shower? Water, soap, humidity. Your species isn't made for this, right?" Lyra laughed softly, a sound like wind chimes. "Humans are resilient, yes. I am designed to tolerate a wide range of environments. A shower is comfortable, actually. Warm, moist, predictable." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Comfortable. You teleport into someone's bathroom and call it comfortable. Perspective," Lyra replied. "From my planet, your shower is a luxury. Many species cannot experience such simple pleasure. Warm water, steam, cleanliness, it is delightful." Alex couldn't help but chuckle. "Well, I never thought of it that way." Lyra's expression softened. "That's what I mean about humans. You find value and pleasure in simple things, and you improve on them constantly. Your inventions, your art, your small daily routines, they are all clever adaptations." Alex felt a strange warmth, not from the shower but from the compliment. "Okay, I guess that's nice of you to say, but still, you need to leave. I can't just have alien visitors floating in my bathroom forever." Lyra tilted her head. "I understand, I will leave soon, but I hope to learn more before I go." Alex groaned. "Learn more from my shower." "You're funny," Lyra said, her smirk returning. "Humans are amusing creatures. Even in small spaces, you find ways to live, laugh, and create. That is impressive." Alex shook his head, laughing despite himself. "You're impossible, but fine, tell me then. What exactly do you want to learn?" Lyra's eyes brightened. "Everything. How humans live, how you think, how you solve problems, why you survive, why your planet thrives. I want to understand your ingenuity firsthand." Alex felt a spark of pride. "Well, you're in luck. I'm pretty good at solving problems. Maybe I can show you a thing or two." Lyra nodded eagerly. "Excellent. Let's start with something simple." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Simple in a shower," Lyra giggled. "Not here, later. But for now, you can teach me about your gadgets, your living spaces, and your routines. It is all important. The human experience is remarkable." Alex sighed, shaking his head. "This is going to be a long night, isn't it?" Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Perhaps. But it will be fascinating." The water ran down Alex's back as he finished his shower, and for the first time he felt excited. Excited, yes, and a little nervous. His life, ordinary and predictable just hours ago, had taken a sudden turn into the extraordinary. A small ripple of excitement ran through him. He had survived the lab, solved complex technological problems, and faced interstellar challenges in simulations. But nothing had prepared him for an alien girl appearing in his shower, floating midair, and calling him clever. Yet as he dried himself and watched Lyra hover with curiosity, Alex realized something important. Humans truly were adaptable. If he could handle this, perhaps he could handle anything. And maybe, just maybe, this unexpected visitor was going to teach him something more about himself and the human ingenuity she so admired. As Alex grabbed a fresh towel and wiped the steam from the mirrors, he realized that his quiet, ordinary apartment would never be ordinary again. Lyra's presence, accidental as it was, had changed everything. And for the first time in a long while, Alex felt alive. The morning sunlight filtered through the blinds of Alex's apartment, casting thin stripes of light across the floor. For a moment, everything seemed normal. Alex sat at the kitchen counter, sipping a cup of strong coffee, while Lyra floated nearby, observing the room with wide, curious eyes. "So, you live here?" Lyra asked, her voice soft but full of wonder. She gestured at the small kitchen, the fridge, the toaster, and even the tiny smart AI assistant sitting on the counter. "Yes," Alex replied cautiously, keeping his mug close. "This is my apartment. I've lived here for about 5 years. Why?" Lyra tilted her head, looking around as if seeing everything for the first time. "It is very human. functional, efficient, and simple. Yet there is creativity in the design. Every object seems to have a purpose, yet also an aesthetic. Fascinating. Alex blinked. Thanks, I guess. I never thought about it that way. To me, it's just home. Ah, Lyra said, her large eyes glimmering. That is the key. Humans find meaning in small spaces, in ordinary things. That is why your species thrives where others cannot. You make a life out of simplicity, and yet you create wonders. I want to understand this better. Alex leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. Well, I can try to explain. But first, tell me, why are you here? You said you teleported by accident. Are you spying on humans? Lyra laughed softly, a sound like soft chimes in the wind. Not spying. Observation, study. I am a researcher. My people travel to distant worlds to learn about emerging civilizations. Your planet is interesting. Humans are curious, adaptable, and resilient. That is why I am here. Alex raised an eyebrow. Interesting, adaptable, resilient, that's flattering, I guess. But you're telling me your entire species just studies other people? Lyra nodded. Yes, in a peaceful manner. We do not interfere unless necessary. Observation is our way of learning, and your species, I must admit, it fascinates me. Alex felt a strange mix of pride and nervousness. So, you teleport around the galaxy, studying civilizations, and somehow you end up in my shower. That's quite a first impression. Lyra tilted her head. Indeed, first impressions are often the most revealing. Your reaction shows curiosity, caution, and humor. Very human traits. I am learning much already. Alex laughed nervously. Well, I suppose that's one way to look at it. So, what now? Are you going to float around my apartment forever? Lyra shook her head. No, I will remain until I understand enough to return safely. But in the meantime, may I explore your environment? I promise not to interfere with personal belongings unnecessarily. Alex hesitated, but curiosity won over caution. All right, fine, but only if you promise not to break anything. I promise, Lyra said, floating gracefully toward the living area. She examined the furniture, the computer, and the small gadgets around the room. Your technology is rudimentary compared to mine, yet ingenious in its simplicity. Humans optimize what is available and you adapt quickly. That is remarkable. Alex leaned against the counter, watching her with a mixture of awe and amusement. Rudimentary, ingenious. You really like humans, huh? Lyra smiled. I admire humans. Your species survives, creates, and learns. You improve what you touch. That is why I study you. Your ingenuity is impressive. Alex felt a strange sense of pride. Well, thanks. I guess we humans do our best. Lyra floated closer, examining a small lamp on the table. Tell me, Alex, how do humans decide which objects are important, which are beautiful? Why do you design your environment this way? Alex chuckled. That's hard to explain. I suppose we balance practicality with comfort. We need things to work, but we also like things that make us feel pleasant, I guess. Lyra nodded thoughtfully. I see. Purpose and aesthetics combined. Very efficient, very human, Alex smiled. Glad you think so. Now tell me about your species. What's it like where you come from? Lyra's eyes sparkled. My world is very different from yours. We value knowledge, exploration, and observation. We do not focus on physical pleasure or comfort as humans do. Our technology allows us to travel across planets, communicate telepathically, and manipulate matter to some extent. But your species, you survive despite limitations. That is what fascinates me. Alex's curiosity grew. So, you're like a scientist or a student, traveling around the galaxy to learn about other species. Exactly, Lyra replied. And humans, despite their limitations, are among the most remarkable beings I have encountered. You create, adapt, and endure. You solve problems without relying solely on technology. That is unique. Alex scratched his head, feeling both flattered and overwhelmed. Wow, that's a lot to take in. So you're saying humans are special? Lyra nodded. Indeed, You are resilient, clever, and innovative. You create solutions where others might fail. That is why I am here, to learn firsthand. Alex sipped his coffee, feeling a mixture of pride and disbelief. Well, I guess I can show you some of what humans do, but don't expect to understand everything in one day. Lyra's eyes glimmered. I do not expect to understand everything. I wish only to observe and learn. Even small details are valuable. Alex smiled. All right then, let's start simple. I'll show you how I use my gadgets, how I organize my space, and maybe some human routines. Lyra nodded eagerly. Excellent. That is the perfect starting point. Alex led her to his small living area, showing her the smart AI assistant, the automated lights, and the small tools he used for work. Lyra observed everything with fascination, occasionally asking questions. How does this device function? She asked, pointing to the AI. Alex explained patiently, showing her the basics. It listens, processes information, and performs tasks. Simple, right? Lyra tilted her head. Simple, yet effective. Humans design systems with minimal resources and maximum adaptability. Remarkable, Alex chuckled. Glad you approve. Now this lamp over here, it's not just for light. It also has sensors to adjust brightness automatically. Lyra's eyes sparkled. Efficiency combined with convenience. Humans consider multiple factors in design. That is impressive. As the day went on, Alex showed her more of his routines, how he prepared meals, cleaned his space, and organized his work. Lyra watched with fascination, occasionally touching objects lightly with her fingers, studying their materials and design. You humans find comfort and efficiency in simplicity, she said. It is inspiring. On my planet, most beings rely entirely on technology, but here, you thrive through creativity. Alex felt a surge of pride. I never thought of it that way. We just make do with what we have and try to make life better. Lyra floated closer, her eyes curious. That is the essence of human ingenuity. You adapt, you survive, and you improve. That is why I am here to learn from you. Alex smiled, feeling both amazed and humbled. Well, I'll do my best to teach you. But be warned, humans can be messy, unpredictable, and sometimes stubborn. Lyra laughed softly. I have noticed, but that makes you even more fascinating. Perfection is not always the most interesting. Growth, adaptation, and resilience, that is what I admire. The afternoon passed quickly. Alex and Lyra explored more of the apartment, discussed human inventions, and shared stories. Alex learned about Lyra's world, how her species traveled to different planets, studied civilizations, and valued knowledge above all. Lyra learned about human creativity, resilience, and humor. By evening, Alex realized something important. Despite the initial shock, despite the strangeness of having an alien visitor, he felt inspired. Lyra's fascination with humans reminded him of why he loved science and exploration. Humans were clever, resourceful, and capable of more than they often realized. Lyra floated to the center of the living room, her eyes glowing softly. Thank you, Alex. Today has been enlightening. I have learned much and I see why humans endure. Your ingenuity is remarkable, Alex chuckled. Well, I'm glad you think so, but remember, you still need to figure out how to get back to your planet. I can't keep you here forever. Lyra nodded. Yes, that is the next step, but for now, learning is most important, and I am grateful for your hospitality, Alex. You are adaptable, clever, and patient, very human traits. Alex laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. But be warned, humans can also be lazy, messy, and prone to mistakes. Lyra smiled. All traits are valuable, even mistakes teach lessons. That is what I find most fascinating. Humans learn, adapt, and thrive. That is why I study you. As the sun set, casting a warm glow across the apartment, Alex realized that his life had changed forever. A visitor from another world had entered his home, not to harm, but to learn. And in return, she reminded him of what it truly meant to be human, curious, adaptable, and endlessly capable. For the first time in a long while, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose, not just in his work but in life itself. Humans were remarkable, and maybe, just maybe, he could show Lyra just how impressive they truly were. And so, as the evening shadows lengthened, Alex and Lyra continued their lessons, their laughter filling the apartment. Two beings from different worlds, learning from each other, discovering that curiosity and ingenuity could bridge any distance, even across galaxies. The next morning, sunlight poured into Alex's apartment, casting bright stripes across the floor. Lyra floated near the kitchen table, her eyes glimmering with curiosity. Today was going to be different. Today, Alex had promised to teach Lyra something more practical. "All right," Alex said, stretching. "Today, we're going to do something hands-on. I'm going to show you how humans solve problems using tools and creativity." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Excellent. I am eager to observe and learn." Alex led her to his small workshop area, a corner of the apartment filled with gadgets, tools, and half-finished projects. There were small drones, mechanical devices, and a few holographic displays. For Alex, it was ordinary, but for Lyra, it was a wonderland. "Where do we start?" she asked, floating over the tools. "First, let's pick a simple project," Alex said. "Something we can build together." "How about a small device to organize my desk automatically?" Lyra tilted her head. "A task for efficiency and order. Very human," Alex laughed. "Yes, humans like to organize, and we like clever solutions. Watch this." He picked up a small circuit board and began explaining how it worked. Lyra listened intently, her glowing eyes following every movement. "Humans create tools that reflect thought and purpose. Your designs are simple, yet effective. Remarkable," Alex grinned. "Thanks, now I want you to help. We can combine my human problem-solving with your alien knowledge. Maybe we can make something even better." Lyra's smile widened. "A collaborative effort. Excellent." As they started, the first few minutes were smooth. Alex handed her components and she examined them carefully. Then, Lyra reached out and lightly touched a small metallic piece. Suddenly, it floated into the air, spinning gently. Alex blinked. "Oh, that's unexpected." Lyra tilted her head. "Is it not supposed to move?" Alex shook his head, laughing nervously. "Not by itself. That's okay, just don't touch the holographic controls yet." But Lyra was already experimenting. She moved a tiny lever, and a small drone on the table began to hover. It zipped around the room, bumping into lamps and books. Alex jumped forward, catching it midair. "Careful," he exclaimed. "These are delicate," Lyra floated back, hands up. "Fascinating. Humans create machines that can fly, yet we often underestimate their fragility." Alex laughed, shaking his head. "I guess that's one lesson today. Flying devices need careful handling." Despite the minor chaos, Alex admired her curiosity. Lyra didn't just follow instructions. She explored, tested, and experimented, much like a human engineer. Only she had alien abilities, making the learning process unpredictable. Over the next hour, they worked on the desk organizer device. Lyra used her powers to gently move pieces, testing mechanisms that Alex had only dreamed of building. Together, they designed something that was both functional and surprisingly elegant. Alex leaned back, wiping his brow. "Not bad, right? We actually made it work." Lyra floated above the table, her eyes gleaming. "Indeed, your species' creativity is inspiring. You adapt, you solve problems, and you use resources wisely. I understand why humans endure challenges on your planet." Alex felt a surge of pride. "Thanks. That means a lot coming from you, but you do have some tricks that make things easier." Lyra smiled softly. "Perhaps. But humans' ability to think, to adapt without relying on superpowers is what truly impresses me. You create, you learn, and you survive. That is your strength." After a short break, Alex decided to show her something more complex, his holographic map of nearby planets. "This is where I track interstellar anomalies," he explained. We try to predict changes in nearby systems. Humans do this with math, observation, and teamwork. Lyra studied the map carefully. Your technology is impressive, yet it is limited compared to my species' capabilities. But your methods, they are clever. You think critically, plan ahead, and adapt when things go wrong. That is admirable, Alex nodded. Exactly. Humans may not have teleportation or matter manipulation, but we use our brains. We think, experiment, and solve problems, even with limited resources. Lyra's eyes glimmered. I am beginning to understand. Creativity, adaptability, and resourcefulness, these are your true powers, Alex smiled. Yep, and now I want you to see these powers in action. He handed her a small, malfunctioning drone. See if you can fix it using only your knowledge of physics and human logic. Lyra tilted her head, examining it carefully. Interesting, I will try. She hovered over the drone, adjusting tiny components with her hands. It whirred, sparked, and then hovered steadily. Alex clapped. Well done, you used your knowledge and learned quickly. Not bad for your first day in a human workshop. Lyra laughed softly. It is enjoyable to solve problems with you. Humans approach challenges in a unique way, practical, logical, yet flexible. Very impressive. As the day passed, more small experiments followed. They tested devices, created new tools, and even accidentally caused a few small disasters. A floating lamp knocked over a stack of books, a small hologram projector went haywire, and one of Alex's drones zipped under the couch, disappearing from view. Okay, Alex said, laughing as he retrieved the drone. Maybe we need to slow down a bit. Lyra's eyes sparkled mischievously. Chaos can also be a teacher. You humans learn from mistakes, do you not? Alex nodded, grinning. True enough, mistakes teach lessons. But cleaning up after them, not so much. Despite the chaos, Alex felt a deep sense of connection. Lyra's curiosity reminded him of the best parts of being human: problem-solving, creativity, and resilience. Even with her alien abilities, she approached learning with wonder and respect, much like a student eager to discover. By evening, they sat on the couch, reviewing their day. The apartment was a little messier than usual, but Alex didn't mind. Lyra floated nearby, glowing softly. Today has been enlightening, Lyra said. I see why humans endure. You adapt, you experiment, and you create. Your ingenuity is remarkable. Alex smiled, feeling both pride and humility. Thanks, and you know you've learned quickly. Maybe too quickly for a first day. Lyra laughed softly. I'm a fast learner, yes, but humans' resilience is what impresses me most. You solve problems without relying on magic or advanced powers. That is extraordinary, Alex nodded. Yeah. Humans may be limited, but we make up for it with creativity, determination, and a little stubbornness. Lyra's eyes glimmered. Indeed, that is why I study humans. You are adaptable, resourceful, and clever, and you make learning enjoyable. Alex chuckled. Well, I'm glad I could help, but remember, tomorrow we tackle your teleportation device. If we can't fix that, you might be stuck here. Lyra tilted her head, a small smile forming. Then tomorrow will be even more interesting. Humans and aliens working together to solve a complex problem. I look forward to it. Alex laughed. Me too. And who knows, maybe we'll invent something neither humans nor aliens have seen before. As the sun set, casting warm orange light across the apartment, Alex realized something important. Humans truly were remarkable. They adapted, they learned, and they created solutions even in difficult situations. And with Lyra by his side, he was reminded of how extraordinary human ingenuity could be, even when viewed through the eyes of an alien. Lyra floated near the window, looking at the city below. Alex, thank you. Today has taught me much about humans. Your creativity, adaptability, and resourcefulness are inspiring. Alex smiled, feeling a sense of pride. You're welcome, and thank you for reminding me why humans are well humans, even with aliens around. Lyra giggled softly. We make a good team, do we not? Yes, Alex said, nodding. We do, and tomorrow we'll see just how good. For the first time in a long while, Alex felt truly excited. He had faced challenges before, but today had been different. Today, he had taught, learned, and shared with someone from another world. And in the process, he realized the real lesson. Human ingenuity, curiosity, and resilience were not just words. They were powers, capable of creating solutions and bridging worlds. And so, as night fell over the city, Alex and Lyra prepared for the next challenge, fixing her teleportation device. Two beings from different worlds, united by curiosity, problem-solving, and a shared respect for ingenuity, ready to face whatever came next. The morning sun filtered softly through the blinds, painting Alex's apartment in warm shades of gold. The events of the past few days, Lyra's accidental teleportation, their shared experiments, and the chaos in his small apartment, had already begun to feel like an ordinary part of life. At least, Alex was trying to convince himself it was ordinary. Lyra floated near the window, her luminous eyes following the patterns of the city below. Alex, she said softly, I have considered our progress. I believe I now understand human routines and creativity much better, but I am curious. May I visit whenever I wish? Alex blinked, nearly spilling his coffee. Wait, you mean, just appear whenever you feel like it? Lyra nodded, a faint smile playing on her lips. Indeed, I can now teleport freely to your apartment without harm or miscalculation. Your species' ingenuity has taught me how to adjust my teleportation safely. Alex took a deep breath, leaning back in his chair. Well, I suppose that's okay, as long as you promise not to destroy my furniture. Lyra laughed softly, a sound like gentle wind chimes. I promise. Only observation and learning, and perhaps a little amusement. Alex shook his head with a grin. You're impossible, but fine. Welcome to the new normal. As days passed, Lyra became a familiar presence in Alex's apartment. She floated gracefully from room to room, examining gadgets, asking questions, and occasionally demonstrating small abilities that made everyday tasks quicker or more interesting. Alex found himself both amazed and amused. One morning, he was making breakfast when a small plate of toast suddenly floated into the toaster by itself. Lyra giggled from above. Efficiency, Alex. You humans could improve convenience slightly if you allowed it. Alex laughed, shaking his head. I don't know if I want my appliances floating on their own. That seems risky. Lyra tilted her head, observing the toaster. Risk is part of learning, but your caution is very human. Sensible, adaptive, protective of possessions. It is admirable. Their interactions became a daily routine. Alex taught Lyra about human food, music, art, and even television shows, while Lyra shared insights from her planet, mathematics, science, and advanced problem-solving techniques. Alex was fascinated by her alien logic, while Lyra was impressed by the creativity, humor, and persistence of humans. One afternoon, Alex worked on a new gadget at his workbench. Lyra hovered nearby, watching with interest. What is this device for? She asked, her eyes glowing softly. Alex picked up a small circuit board. It's a home assistant upgrade. I'm trying to make it more intuitive, able to predict needs before they're even spoken. Lyra's eyes sparkled. Prediction and intuition fascinating. Humans think creatively to solve problems that are not yet present. That is remarkable, Alex smiled. Thanks, and you know your perspective has helped me improve it even faster. Humans can be clever, but aliens with teleportation tricks and advanced logic, that's a game changer. Lyra giggled. We learn from each other. Humans, resourcefulness, adaptability, and creativity, combined with my perspective, yields interesting results. Some days were full of humor and mischief. Lyra experimented with minor levitation tricks, floating pencils across the room, making small objects dance in midair, or hovering dishes across the table. Alex often found himself chasing floating plates or trying to catch buzzing drones. Alex, Lyra laughed one morning as a small cup hovered above his head. You move slowly. Efficiency requires speed. I think this counts as chaos, Alex said, ducking under the floating cup. But I guess you're right. Humans can adapt, just not this fast. Lyra tilted her head, smiling. Adaptation is key. You adjust quickly. That is why your species survives challenges that others cannot. Despite the playful chaos, Alex found himself appreciating the lessons. Lyra reminded him of human resilience, creativity, and the ability to solve problems under unusual circumstances. And in return, Alex's explanations, humor, and patient guidance helped Lyra understand humans better, both their ingenuity and their flaws. One evening, after a long day of experimentation, they sat side by side on the couch. The city outside glowed with neon lights, and the hum of distant traffic filled the air. Alex, Lyra said softly, I must say this experience has taught me much. Humans are more impressive than I imagined. Your adaptability, resourcefulness, and cleverness, all traits that allow you to survive and thrive. That is why I study your species. Alex smiled, feeling a warm sense of pride. I never thought of it that way, but thanks. You've taught me a lot too, about your world, your science, and how to see human creativity from an outside perspective. Lyra's eyes glimmered. We make a good team. Different worlds, different perspectives, yet we learn from each other. Alex nodded. Yeah. And I guess this is the start of something new. My life won't be ordinary anymore, and I'm okay with that. Lyra floated closer, her expression gentle. Neither mine. You have shown me the beauty of human ingenuity and the warmth of human friendship. That is valuable. Days turned into weeks. Lyra visited often, sometimes bringing small holographic simulations of her world, sometimes helping Alex with experiments or simple repairs. Alex adapted to the presence of an alien visitor, finding both joy and inspiration in her curiosity and knowledge. One afternoon, Alex and Lyra decided to test a new project, a device that combined human ingenuity and alien technology to improve energy efficiency in the apartment. Lyra floated pieces into place, while Alex calibrated circuits, their teamwork seamless. This is impressive, Lyra said, observing the device as it hummed quietly. Humans' creative problem-solving combined with precision and adaptability produces excellent results. Alex grinned. I told you humans were clever, but you make it faster and more precise. Lyra laughed. It is the combination of skill sets. Humans adapt, I optimize. Together we achieve results neither could alone. As evening fell, Alex reflected on the journey. His apartment, once ordinary and quiet, had become a place of learning, laughter, and discovery. Lyra's presence had transformed his routines, challenged his problem-solving skills, and reminded him why human ingenuity was truly remarkable. Alex, Lyra said softly, floating near the window and looking at the city below, thank you for allowing me into your world. Your species is resilient, clever, and endlessly adaptable. I now understand why humans endure challenges and thrive. I am grateful for your guidance. Alex smiled, leaning back. You're welcome, Lyra, and thank you for reminding me what humans are capable of. Curiosity, creativity, and adaptability, that's us. That's what makes humans special. Lyra's eyes glimmered, reflecting the city lights. Indeed. And with our combined efforts, perhaps one day, humans and my species can achieve even greater understanding, learning from each other, exploring new ideas, and celebrating ingenuity. Alex nodded. I like the sound of that. And for now, we'll keep experimenting, learning, and having fun. That's the important part. Lyra smiled. Agreed. This new normal, it is enjoyable. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting the apartment in soft twilight. Alex looked at Lyra, floating gracefully, glowing softly in the dim light. His life, once predictable and ordinary, had changed forever. He had learned that humans were clever, adaptable, and capable of amazing feats, even in the eyes of an alien observer. and he had learned that curiosity, friendship, and shared knowledge could bridge worlds, creating bonds stronger than distance, time, or even species. As Alex and Lyra prepared for another evening of experiments and discovery, he realized that life's ordinary routines, cooking, cleaning, thinking, learning, could be extraordinary when shared with someone who saw the world differently. Together, they would explore, invent, laugh, and learn. And in the process, Alex understood what Lyra had seen all along. Human ingenuity, creativity, and adaptability were powers that could shape worlds, solve problems, and inspire even those from distant planets. And for Alex, that was just the beginning. She teleported into my shower, looked me over, smirked, and stayed.